4 to 5 months is what we understand. Now her body has been recovered from a fridge here, but the police are not very sure on whether the assailant killed her here and cut her body into multiple pieces, because they haven't found any major blood mark, blood stain over there, apart from the one that is seen coming from the fridge whenever there was a power cut. Because the police believe if the body was cut into pieces inside this house, even if he cleans the entire house, there would be small traces of blood stains and the stench that was missing. That's why they are probing if he committed this crime elsewhere. They've also raided his house. The prime suspect, who currently is being pursued, who's being traced by Bengaluru police in some other state near West Bengal, to get hold of him, probe how he committed this crime, what was the intent of it. In the meanwhile, the police are also questioning various other people, including one Ashraf, who the family raised suspicion about, saying that he is the man who led to Mahalakshmi separating, moving away from her husband. He too has been questioned, and the police saying that they are very close to cracking this case.
Crime suspect has already been identified. We have to physically arrest him. Only then we will know further details. At this stage, if I tell anything, it will be to the benefit of the accused, not to the public. So I refrain from giving any further details.
बहुत ही ब्रूटल मर्डर हुआ बैंगलोर में और अभी तक उसको पकड़ा नहीं गया।
कर्नाटक में कांग्रेस सत्ता में आने के बाद 2023 मई के बाद लगभग 1,500 हीनस ऑफेंस हुआ है कर्नाटक में। उसमें हीनस मर्डर्स से लेकर लगभग 1,500। कहाँ पे है लैंड ऑर्डर?
Harish now joins us live, getting us more details on this. Harish, the police say that they've zeroed in on the suspect, but they're yet to track down his location. What more are you gathering from your sources within the Bengaluru police?
Well, the police are saying that he's likely to be somewhere on Odisha West Bengal border. They have some details about his whereabouts. They are saying it's a matter of time before we arrest this person. We know his identity. We know what he was doing here. In fact, the police last night have searched his house here in Bengaluru to see if there were any traces indicating that he might have committed that crime there, or if there was a murder weapon there. So they've searched his house. They've also spoken to people that he was in touch with over the last several days. So they know very well who this man is, the prime suspect. He has been identified. The police saying it's just a matter of time before we arrest him. Once he's arrested, a lot of these questions will get answered. One, the motive, why did he kill her? And second, when did he kill her? Remember, although the speculation is that this crime might have happened sometime in first week of September, the police are not very sure. They are saying just going by when the phone was switched off, it would not be accurate to decide when she was killed. So they will have to wait for the postmortem report, then match it with the statement that this person will give once he is arrested. Third is they want to know how he has killed her, because they believe that he might have hit her first, and when she was unconscious he might have done this act, or was there any sort of a poison used? All these are angles that the police are looking into. Some of it will become clear once he is arrested. Some other, they will have to wait for the postmortem report to come out before they get accurate details about that. At the same time, they're also looking at various other angles and people who are associated with her. Although they've identified this man as prime suspect and they largely believe this is a crime that has been committed by one person, they don't want to rule out any other angle. So they're investigating and interrogating other people as well, including this man Ashraf, who the family had raised suspicion about. He's been investigated, but they believe that he might not be a person of interest at this point in time, but still he's under the Bangalore police radar so far.
Right, Harish, do stay on with us. Activist Brinda Adige also joining us on this broadcast. Ma'am, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. You know, this is a rerun of what we saw happen in Delhi 2 years ago with the Shraddha Walkar case. And there's very little in terms of the trial that has happened, that justice is not being done even after 2 days. And then we hear gruesome crimes like this happen again. What is the solution? Is there any closure that these victims' family would get?
You're absolutely right. There is a part of the closure, but before the closure, there is the part of the police ensuring that the real culprits, the murderers, are caught. And in this age and time, it should not be a big problem for us. And we should also remember that the justice system works very slowly. So there is no fear of law. And perpetrators have time and again done these kind of things. And like you mentioned, Shraddha's case in Delhi, what has happened to that fellow? Nothing. We all spoke a lot in all the channels for several days. But we don't know how far it is. Even though the Justice Verma Commission is so clear that these are all fast-track cases. They have to be completed 9 to 11 months. So our courts are dilly-dallying and cumbersome, tedious processes that are going on. The police continues to say that, we are trying to get clues. This is digital era. If we really want to pin and get those guys, it is not difficult to get. And I'm sure the Bangalore City Police is working very hard. I hope they do this. In the meantime, I think it is time for our elected representatives, whoever is the government servant, to stop shaming women. Stop telling people that, she had so many affairs, she had so many boyfriends. This is absolute sexist, misogynistic talk. We should not be talking like this. We never say anything about a boy or a man having 10 girlfriends. We never say those things. We we feel sorry for him. This is a murder, most foul. And justice must be served in the swiftest possible time.
Absolutely, Brinda Adige, we do hope that that happens at least with this case. First, of course, the identity has to be ascertained of this accused. He has to be tracked down, then arrested, and speedy justice is what is the need of the hour. That's the chorus that's coming in from multiple quarters, not just from the families of these victims. Harish, as far as this particular crime is concerned, to put this in perspective for our viewers, this is a kind of barbarism that we only perhaps see out of murder mysteries or murder thrillers or books. The fact that a human being is capable of cutting another human being's body into 50 odd pieces, there has to be something really wrong.
Absolutely. In fact, earlier in the day, I was speaking to one of the senior police officials, and he's somebody who's been in service for more than 2 decades now. And he said when he visited this house, he was shocked to see what had happened. And for a good hour or so, it took them time to understand the gravity of the situation. And that's somebody who's been in the force. So imagine, this is something that hasn't been seen often. And they also want to know what was the motive that led this man to kill. And remember, it's not just kill that person there and possibly butcher her there. In this case, it could be a lot more sinister. She might have been killed elsewhere and then the body might have been moved here. For somebody to do that in such a brazen manner, and this is a neighborhood that is thickly packed. If you look at the visuals there are houses next to each other, and there are people going in and coming out all the time. For somebody to do this when there's such a huge population there raises questions on the brazenness of it, and also the fact that there was a blue color suitcase or a trolley bag of sort that was right next to the fridge. Makes police suspect on whether he had any other ideas of moving this out, moving the body out at a later stage. What was the plan? These are things they want to know. But definitely this is something even the police are shocked that somebody could do this, kill the person, butcher them into multiple pieces, stack it in the refrigerator, and not forget to switch on the refrigerator to ensure that the body doesn't decompose fast and the foul smell doesn't come out. He's done all this and ensured that he's bought enough time to escape.
Absolutely, there was meticulous planning that had to go into this. Otherwise, this would not have been possible for a crime like this to have been committed. Abha Singh, activist, also joining us on this broadcast. Abha Singh, as far as cases like this go, the gruesomeness of the crime is one aspect of it. But what about justice?
No, actually, gruesome is really scary that how can so much brutality be happening in the society which we call civilized. So that is one issue, but this is being committed by intimate partners. So then the problem for the police is that it cannot reach every house. If it was, if it was a crime which was a murder taking in broad daylight, we could have condemned the police, we could have said that the law and order is an issue. But if it's your intimate partner, someone you live in relationship, that is become a tough task for the police to control, and this is where I feel the criminal justice system should be held responsible, because the law, there should be a deterrence. The criminal justice system is dependent on the deterrence, and there is no fear of law, and that is why people with impunity are doing murders, chopping the body into so many parts, hiding them in refrigerators. Because somehow, one is the social media, they are seeing so much of violence on the social media that they are exposed, they are learning new things, and secondly, they know that nothing is going to happen to them, and that is why they are not scared of the law. So, the delay in giving justice, which you are asking, conviction in murder is 30 to 40%, rape is 28%, which means that you can murder and rape in India and get away. And that is why in a civilized city like Bengaluru, such heinous offences taking place.
Absolutely, it's the IT capital of this country. It's not a back beyond village from where we see such barbarity coming to the fore, and that's the most concerning bit. Prabha Singh, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Harish continues to be with us, getting us more details. Now, Harish, even as the investigation progresses, unfortunately, when such crimes come to the fore, politics speaks as well, and that's exactly what seems to be happening. The BJP gunning for the state government there.
Well, absolutely. The BJP is saying that law and order is a crucial issue here. They are saying it's only increased. The number of crimes have only increased ever since this government came into power in 2023. They're also saying that the fact that the government has gone soft on some of the anti-social element, fundamentalist, radical elements has emboldened them. That's the BJP's charge. The Congress, on the other hand, coming out and saying, well, a crime has taken place, the police will investigate. But many of them coming out to say that this is something that's happened between inside closed doors between two people who know each other. So the police can only then go ahead and crack the case. There can't be a preventive action from the police is something that they've said. In fact, the Home Minister too saying that he doesn't want to get into any sort of a debate on this. He would wait for the police to finish the investigation, saying that we've quickly identified the man. But there is a larger question here. The question of why is there no fear of law among some of these assailants who are carrying out such attacks. We've seen what happened in Delhi. We've spoken about reforms. We've seen the police promising that there will be conviction of all these people. The courts promising that this will happen on a fast track basis, but still it is not acting like a deterrent. So what needs to be done is the question that perhaps the policymakers now have to find an answer for.
Absolutely. Harish, do keep a track of where the investigation leads. But for the moment, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Shifting focus now to some more breaking news that's coming in, and this is to do with the controversy that erupted over the use of animal fat and lard in prasad that was made at the Sri Venkateswara temple in Tirupati. Now we're given to understand from our sources within the health ministry is that 4 samples of one particular supplier failed. That company is from Tamil Nadu, and notices have been issued. A show cause notice has been issued to this particular company as well. The centre too now seeking a report. Sharon, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details. Sharon, this is in line with what Union Health Minister JP Nadda said last week. He had said that the centre would be taking stock and that action would be taken against anyone found guilty.
Well, that is right. And FSI, which comes under Health Ministry, has in fact taken note of the unadulterated prasadam that was distributed. Now, accordingly, the FSCI has in fact sent a show cause notice to AR Diary because 4 samples of AR Diary has in fact been failed, and accordingly, this Tamil Nadu company has in fact been issued a show cause notice. Now, what the sources within the Health Ministry has been saying that now that whatever action next will be taken will be according to the law when it comes to the adulterated food. There are certain laws and there are certain punishment regarding adulterated food, and that will be followed in this case as well. And that is why they have sent a show cause notice. We have asked for an explanation from AR Diary. Once the explanation reaches, and if it is not satisfactory to the Health Ministry, then action will be taken against the AR Diary.
So action could be taken against AR Dairy, but Sharon, when we spoke to their representatives last week, they said that all of these allegations are baseless and that they were only asked to stop supply by the temple, but they were never given any reason why. They also have gone on to say that we have our own reports, and our reports suggest that there is no adulteration.
Well, the fact of the matter is that FCCI is the biggest watchdog when it comes to the adulterated food. And they have, according to them, 4 samples of AR Dairy has in fact been failed. Now, no matter what the AR Dairy says, whether they have been saying that these are just mere allegations and nothing is true, but the fact is that 4 samples of one supplier from Tamil Nadu has been failed. The report is on the table of the FCCI, and accordingly, they have sent show cause notice to this AR Dairy. and they have asked for an explanation from them. On failure of that, or if the explanation is not satisfactory enough, then there will be other actions that will be taken that could in fact be suspension of their manufacturing unit or completely revoking their license of running the manufacturing unit. All this could happen if the explanation is not satisfactory to the health ministry. Right now, what we are being told is that a show cause notice has been sent because all the samples have been failed. Remember, the test has been done of the ghee here. The ghee has been found adulterated with animal fat, beef tallow, and that is why a show cause notice has been sent to the manufacturing unit of the ghee.
Right, Sharon, for the moment, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. But the political war of words in Andhra Pradesh over the adulteration of this prasad of the Tirupati temple has snowballed over the last few days. Even as allegations fly thick and fast, the Chief Minister and the government in Andhra Pradesh is going after its predecessors, after the Jagan Mohan Reddy government, accusing it of running this temple as their fief and doing as they please. Listen in to some of those reactions.
What nonsense he's talking. Not even 100 days. What he has done for his 100 days. He is having a habit of attacking. Attack cannot help. You must know that. You tell the policies. You can criticize my policies. I will answer what I have done, what you have done. But you cannot divert this subject. You wanted to divert. You cannot divert. If you wanted to divert, more and more sentiments will hurt. That you have to keep it in mind.
We have established a system of testing ghee for adulteration in TTD for the first time in the last 3 months. Never in the history of TTD we have tested ghee for adulteration outside, in outside labs. But in-house we don't have a capacity to test. Outside also we never attempted. This is the first time that we started doing it, and we continue to do that. This will ensure that there is a quality check, there is a quality control system in place, and if anybody tries to supply any adulterated thing, they will be naturally blacklisted and other legal actions will be taken. And as I said, TTD is also trying to establish a internal lab, in-house lab.
Swastika now joins us live, getting us more perspective on this. Swastika, as far as the political war of words go, those continue. We're going to be seeing a legal battle in the Andhra Pradesh High Court as well. But there is a report that we've accessed here on CNN News 18 that you accessed for us. It details out exactly what amount of adulteration was there as far as this ghee is concerned. What were the components of it? That report goes on to show exactly what happened.
Well, yes. The tankers in question were 4 tankers that were isolated by the TTD, and then the samples of which were sent to the National Dairy Development Board in Gujarat. And after that report is when it has been concluded that these samples were adulterated with beef tallow, lard and fish oil. But it is important to point out that by TTD's own testing, AR Dairy's earlier tankers, they had in fact in total supplied 8 tankers till date, and the starting day of their supply was on the 12th of April. So from 12th of April till the 12th of July, 6th and 12th of July is when 4 tankers were rejected, and the remaining tankers had passed the criteria of the TTD, and that's why the executive officer of the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam has also told that the samples that were not adulterated, all of that ghee was used in the making of prasadam and as well as laddus. Question here is that while the adulterated samples were identified and in fact timely the report came out, the question that is being put forth is that was it a sweeping statement by the Chief Minister, considering that as per their own record, the TTD has said that they did not have adequate testing labs, and that's why they feel now the need to develop testing labs to test adulteration and all the other components, almost on the lines of how the National Dairy Development does. But the TDP, and perhaps now questions are being raised for the TTD to give a conclusive proof of whether adulterated samples were used at all in making the laddus, because whatever the samples were identified, they were tested in time and they were immediately checked by the National Dairy Development. They have failed on all fronts. FSSAI report have also concluded the same. But the fact is that were adulterated samples at all used in making the laddus? That is one question that needs to be answered by the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, because the executive officer by his own admission has said that all the past samples that were sent were clear, and only those who have in fact cleared their tests, tankers, samples of which were only used for making the laddu. I beg your pardon, the ghee carried by those tankers were only used in making the laddus. The Chief Minister, however, yesterday categorically said that adulterated ghee was also used in making the laddus. But if you look at the report that we have accessed right now, and this is by TTD's own report, it says that only 4 tankers were carrying adulterated samples. All of that were identified and action was taken in time. But question is, where is the proof that adulterated ghee was used in making the laddus? That is one thing that needs to be clarified.
And until that clarification comes, the political war of words are only going to continue. But there is a legal battle that's headed for the state government and for the TTD as well, isn't it? Because the YSRCP is also accusing them of maligning their image, of defaming the party, and is perhaps suing them for defamation.
Well, absolutely. YSRCP too has a lot to answer in this episode, because number one is that why were they giving contracts to the companies which have no experience? Because why in the first place would they have 5 different ghee vendors supply ghee to them? It's also important to note that if the market price of ghee is 1100 per kilo, and if a contractor is giving ghee at 320 rupees per kilo, questions will be raised on the quality that is involved in making of that ghee. And that's why when you see adulterants like vanaspati, vegetable fats being used, all of that is identified with ghees which are of low price point and of poor quality. So why did that happen in the first place? Why was as per the TTD and the TDP government now, why were the norms in fact changed? Why did they bring on board contractors who are not really up to the mark? These questions are definitely ought to be asked to the YSRCP, and more importantly, there is a lot of questions about bureaucracy. Chief Minister said that during YSRCP's regime, TTD was acting like a bureaucratic body instead of looking into the standards and practices. And more bigger question is, before I quickly wrap up, the amount of money that TTD receives in form of donation is the wealthiest temple body in the country. Why is it that they don't have adequate lab facilities in the first place? Where is that money going? Those questions must be asked.
Absolutely, those questions must be asked and they must be answered. The TTD, which is the temple board of the Sri Venkateswara temple, needs to do all that answering and not just level allegations against the predecessors. But for the moment, Swastika, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Political reactions, meanwhile, trickling in thick and fast. Let's listen in.
ये घटना जितनी चिंताजनक है, उतनी ही निंदनीय भी है। जिस तरीके से करोड़ों लोगों की भावना को ठेस पहुंचाया गया है, ऐसी घटना को कतई बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जा सकता। इसमें जो भी कोई दोषी होंगे, ये विश्वास सरकार आपको दिलाना चाहती है कि जो भी कोई इसमें दोषी होंगे, उसके ऊपर कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई की जाएगी, ताकि भविष्य में कभी ऐसी घटना दोबारा ना घटे।
पहली बात तो इसकी मैं निंदा करता हूं, और आगे ऐसी घटना न हो इस पर सरकार विचार करेगी और कड़े कानून होने चाहिए। और ये आस्था के साथ खिलवाड़ है और भारत के स्वास्थ्य के साथ भी खिलवाड़ है। इस तरीके का प्रतिबंधित चीज़ों को, किसी खाद में मिलावट होना, इसके लिए बड़े कड़े कानून हो। जिस तरीके से भी हम लोगों ने नकल पर रोक लगाया है, उसी तरीके से कड़े कानून आए जिससे कि इस खाद्य मिलावट में भी रोक लग जाए और इस तरह को सजा मिले। और ट्रस्ट जो है एक न्यास होता है, न्यास को मतलब एक विश्वास का के तहत आस्था का केंद्र, और आस्था के साथ खिलवाड़ करना ठीक नहीं है। एक आदमी के दोषी होने से ढेर सारे व्यवसायियों के ऊपर असर पड़ेगा।
Moving on now to breaking news that's coming in from Maharashtra. We're given to understand that the Pune airport has now been renamed. The state government has decided to rename it to Jagadguru Sant Tukaram Maharaj Airport. This decision comes just ahead of elections in the state. Preeti, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details. Preeti, the name has been changed now. Significant development given that Maharashtra will be polling in less than 2 months.
Polling is due date is there in November. But, before that, today's cabinet meeting has passed the resolution that Pune Airport will be renamed in the name of Sant Tukaram Maharaj. So now this resolution, now this cabinet has passed this decision, and the resolution will be taken place within a few days from now, and GR will come out in a few days from now, because as we know that the election is due in Maharashtra in the month of November. So before that, the Maharashtra government has took this decision in today's cabinet meeting.
Right, Preeti, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. It's time for a quick break here on this edition of Nation at 5, but news and updates continue on CNN News 18. Don't go anywhere.
क्या मतलब टाइम?
संघर्ष है, तनाव है, तो दूसरी तरफ कई देशों में डेमोक्रेसी का जश्न चल रहा है। आज जब भारत ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म पर कुछ कहता है तो दुनिया सुनती है। Initiative on critical and emerging technology, ISET इंक्लूसिव इनोवेशन के लिए हमारे साझा कमिटमेंट का प्रतीक है। आप में से कई साथियों से मैं पहले भी मिला हूं। भारत आपकी ग्रोथ स्टोरी से फैमिलियर है और हम उस पर ट्रस्ट भी करते हैं। आज का भारत एम्बिशियस सपने देखता है और उन्हें पूरा करने का भरसक प्रयास भी करता है। आज भारत विश्व की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी है, विश्व की सबसे तेजी से ग्रो करने वाली इकोनॉमी है और मैं पक्का मानता हूं कि मेरा ये जो तीसरा कार्यकाल है उसमें हम 3rd लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी का हमारा जो गोल है उसको हम अचीव कर लेंगे।
My colleague Siddhant is with us on the broadcast. Siddhant, this is day 2 of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. We are, of course, waiting for him to address the UNGA, which is called the Summit of the Future. First of all, what can be expected will be his line there as far as the Prime Minister is concerned? Is it going to be taking a cue from what was discussed at the Quad Summit of all the 4 world leaders?
Well, Greha, as far as Summit of the Future address of Prime Minister Modi is concerned, it's going to be very, very significant. In fact, we could see Prime Minister touching upon his visits to Russia and Ukraine. We could also expect Prime Minister Modi to give message of peace from that dais. And in fact, the sources have also confirmed to me that there is going to be something big on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Prime Minister would not only touch upon the conflict, but he could possibly give some kind of a solution also to the world, how peace can be restored in Europe. And the second focus of Prime Minister Modi is going to be the concerns of the countries from the global South Korea, because India just organized Global South Summit in the month of August. In that, Prime Minister heard the concerns, the problems of the countries from the Global South, and India is projecting itself right now as a strong voice of Global South. So we could expect Prime Minister Modi to perhaps tell the world what countries from Global South are going through, how the wars have impacted these countries, and how important it is to restore peace so that the economy can boom. These countries should not be left out because right now, Griha, these countries are at a risk of being left out from the global growth momentum. So that would perhaps also be the Prime Minister's talking point in the address. So all eyes are going to be on that key address of Prime Minister Modi at Summit of the Future.
Right, and he's also just been part of that Tech CEOs roundtable. He has underlined about India's own growth story, India's technological prowess. He talks about how very soon India is going to be touching upon the 6G technology. About all of that, Siddhant, considering many of those CEOs were important faces, and that too Indo-American faces.
Well, absolutely. So it was a very important CEO roundtable which Prime Minister chaired. In fact, CEOs from 15 top IT and tech companies of United States participated in the roundtable. Prime Minister's message was, come and invest in India. Be a part of India's growth story. That was Prime Minister's message to all the CEOs. In fact, there were CEOs from the semiconductor companies. Google CEO Sundar Pichai was also there, and the other companies which are doing business in biotechnology, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, etc., etc. So it was a very important CEO roundtable which Prime Minister chaired in New York, and after which in fact held 3 bilateral meetings also. One with the Prime Minister of Palestine, which is very important, Griha.
Yes.
And in fact Prime Minister reiterated India's principal position on Israel-Palestine issue. Prime Minister also met KP Oli, the Prime Minister of Nepal, in New York. Remember, KP Oli has not visited India yet. So with that regard, this visit is also very significant. And
thank you for staying with us. You're watching Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. There's news coming in now from Bangladesh. The threat that the Hindu community is in Bangladesh seems to only be increasing. Another allegation has now been levelled by the Hindu community there, and this one is of extortion. Several temples in particular parts of Bangladesh have now come out and said that they've been asked by Islamist groups to not celebrate Durga Puja, and if they want to, then they must cough up 5 lakh rupees. CNN News 18 spoke with the General Secretary of Hindu Buddhist Christian Unity Council in Bangladesh. This is what he had to tell us.
We have read some reports, and it is written in those reports that some of the temples have been threatened in Bangladesh. They have been asked to pay certain amount to celebrate Durga Puja, and some of the temple committees have also lodged complaint with the local police. What information you have regarding this case?
It is the correct information.
Okay.
They are now in tension.
Okay.
They have all puja committee leaders today continue their meetings regarding the coming puja.
Okay.
They receive every temples received such type of.
How many temples?
How many? 86 puja last year's the Durga Puja celebration committee arranged in Dako.
Okay.
Kudela.
Okay.
Now they are in tension. They in coming puja celebration will continue or not. They are they are now. This is under their decision, not yet taken. They are discussing the matters one to another. It is not yet final, but many puja committee claim they will not celebrate the puja.
It'll be interesting to see how the interim government in Bangladesh responds to this. But for now, we're shifting focus to the controversy back home here, and that comes from Tamil Nadu. The governor of Tamil Nadu, RN Ravi, has once again stoked controversy with his comments. While addressing an event, he went on to say that India can't run away or can't be separated from dharma, and that secularism is a European concept. India doesn't need secularism at all. It's not what Indian dharma and democracy needs. Now, that has triggered a big political fight with parties not just from Tamil Nadu but from across the country slamming RN Ravi for his comments.
A lot of frauds have been committed on the people of this country. And one fraud is they have tried to give a wrong interpretation of secularism. They will tell you we are secular. What does it mean? Secularism is an European concept. Secularism is not a Bharatiya concept. Somebody, one member said, should we talk about secularism? The entire Constituent Assembly said, secularism? In our country, in Bharat, is there any conflict? Bharat has never been. Bharat is born out of dharma. How can there be a conflict with dharma? How can Bharat be away from dharma?
So Governor RN Ravi has said that there is a wrong interpretation of secularism. It's a European concept and it is not an Indian concept. Therefore, there's no need for secularism. That's the statement that Governor RN Ravi had made yesterday. How do you react to this statement?
Even democracy is an European concept. Why are you following democracy? Why are you conducting elections? And why do you want to conduct one nation, one election? Why election? You become a king. That is how you are acting now. You are a monarch. And this man, he does not know what is India. Secularism is the concept of the Tamils. Secularism is the right of the people as provided by the Constitution of India. The Indian Constitution says, I have the freedom of any religion, which is secularism. But he had not gone through the Constitution at all. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know the history of India. He doesn't know the Constitution. He doesn't know what is secularism. He says that it is a European concept. It is not an European concept. In Europe, all are Christians. Here, there were many religions. Who formed Buddhism? Who formed Jainism? Who formed Sikhism? All are Indians. So this concept of secularism only suits India because in India there were many religions which were formed. Apart from Christianity and Islam, the rest of the religions which are in force in India were found by the Indians. That he should know.
The recent statement of the Tamil Nadu Governor regarding secularism is unacceptable, and the Governor's views are condemnable views also. BJP and other affiliated organizations has always been against this kind of things. They want to insult other religions. They want to insult other traditions. Mr. Ravi is speaking against the constitution. We all know that BJP and the RSS wants to change the constitution of India, which is based on Baba Sahib Ambedkar's thinking, and this we will never allow that to happen.
Purnima now joins us, getting us more perspective on this. Purnima, there's massive furor over what the governor said over the weekend. Any clarification from the Raj Bhavan post that?
So far, no clarification from the Raj Bhavan on this issue, but politics over what the governor said at Kanniyakumari yesterday. Politics over that is only escalating. DMK and its allies, including the Congress left, have lashed out at the governor, saying that secularism is very much part of the constitution and that the governor should first read the constitution. That's the statement that's come in from the DMK and also its allies. Meanwhile, the BJP has come out in support of the governor and said that what the governor meant is 100% right, and his words have been misconstrued by the DMK and its allies for electoral gains, adding that the governor meant that India is already a secular country, and the word secularism is wrongly interpreted by the opposition parties in the country. That's what the governor meant, is what the BJP here in Tamil Nadu maintain. However, politics over this is escalating with no clarification that's come in from the governor or the Raj Bhavan yet.
Purnima, for the moment, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Slipping into a quick break here on this edition of Nation at 5, but we'll be back in just a few minutes. Do stay tuned.
Met the Crown Prince of Kuwait, and in fact Prime Minister thanked Crown Prince of Kuwait for taking care of Indian diaspora because Kuwait has largest Indian diaspora. Back to you.
Absolutely. Also, Siddhant, since you mentioned semiconductor, there has been a very, very crucial deal between India and US that's been inked as far as the semiconductor fabrication plants. This is going to give a lot of impetus, not just to technological development, but also towards national security. Let's first take a look at what the Prime Minister had to say about semiconductors, and then I'll come back to you, Siddhant.
सेमीकंडक्टर में हम $15 बिलियन का एडिशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट करने की दिशा में हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। दुनिया भर से भी, जैसा मैंने कहा, इन्वेस्टमेंट आ रहा है और भारत का प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी इन दिनों में काफी इस मात्रा में निवेश कर रहा है। हाल ही हुए हमने एक सेमिकॉन इंडिया समिट की, आप में से कुछ साथी उसमें थे भी। भारत के पास ग्लोबल सेमीकंडक्टर इकोसिस्टम सप्लाई चेन में एक रिलायबल और क्रेडिबल पार्टनर बनने की पूरी क्षमता है। आज हमारा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सेक्टर $150 बिलियन से ज्यादा का है। हमारा लक्ष्य इसे 2030 में $500 बिलियन तक ले जाने का है, ताकि इस सेक्टर में 6 मिलियन नई जॉब्स की हम आपूर्ति कर सकते हैं।
Received a grand welcome there from the Indian diaspora, where he emphasized that the day is near when Americans will see the Made in India chip. Now, after addressing the Indian diaspora, Prime Minister Modi also held the Tech CEOs Roundtable in New York and discussed India's vast potential and opportunities that the country can offer in these sectors. Remember, he had also held separate talks with world leaders, including his Nepalese counterpart KP Sharma Oli, also Kuwait Crown Prince and the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, reaffirming India's support for Palestinian people. And now he's all set to be addressing the Summit of the Future at the UNGA.
AI है जो भारत को ड्राइव कर रही है, और वो कौन सा और है? वो है A for aspirational, I for India, एस्पिरेशनल इंडिया। साथियों, हमने विमेन वेलफेयर के साथ ही विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट पर फोकस किया है। एक तरफ दुनिया के कई देशों के बीच संघर्ष है, तनाव है, तो दूसरी तरफ कई देशों में डेमोक्रेसी का जश्न चल रहा है। आज जब भारत ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म पर कुछ कहता है तो दुनिया सुनती है। इनिशिएटिव ऑन क्रिटिकल एंड इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजी, आईसेट इंक्लूसिव इनोवेशन के लिए हमारे साझा कमिटमेंट का प्रतीक है। आप में से कई साथियों से मैं पहले भी मिला हूं। भारत आपकी ग्रोथ स्टोरी से फैमिलियर है और हम उस पर ट्रस्ट भी करते हैं। आज का भारत एम्बिशियस सपने देखता है और उन्हें पूरा करने का भरसक प्रयास भी करता है। आज भारत विश्व की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी है, विश्व की सबसे तेजी से ग्रो करने वाली।
Welcome back. Lapata Ladies is the official entry of India to the Oscars this time around. Kiran Rao and all of the film crew, the cast did come out and express their gratitude, not just their happiness at the decision to send Lapata Ladies as India's official entry. Actor-producer Amar Khan being the latest one, going on to say that he is proud of Kiran Rao and the entire team, and we do hope that it wins hearts at the Academy Awards as well.
आशा तो थी, उम्मीद थी दिल में, और जब पता चला तो बहुत ही खुश हूँ। जब इंडिया इस फिल्म को एंट्री के तौर से चुनती है तो आपके लिए एक मौका बन जाता है अब फिल्म को इंटरनेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म पर शोकेस करना। तो कोशिश तो रहेगी हमारी कि हम जितनी दूर जितने लोगों को दिखा पाएं, एकेडमी के लोग भी, पर इसके थ्रू आप बहुत बड़ी ऑडियंस को भी एक तरह से इन्फॉर्म कर सकते हैं कि ऐसी फिल्म है। तो कोशिश हमारी जारी रहेगी कि हम दूर दूर तक फिल्म दिखाएं और लोगों को बताएं कि ये फिल्म जरूर देखें।
Vishal, my colleague, joining us, getting us more perspective on this. Vishal, unexpected lines, of course, gratitude, heartfelt congratulations coming in for the cast and crew of this particular team, Aamir Khan being the latest one to share that sentiment. But if you could tell us what went behind picking Lapata Ladies as India's official entry?
Well, it's a long process. There were close to 28 films which were in the running, and it was a right decision by the committee to select a film that will resonate with the American audiences. Also, we have to notice the association with Aamir Khan and the Academy. And like Aamir Khan mentioned in his statement where he's expressing gratitude to Netflix, what is important to know is that Netflix played an important role even in the case of RRR, which picked up an Oscar. Today, landscape has changed. Netflix is widely viewed in the US. And all the members who are the members of the Academy will have access to the film via Netflix. So I think and second is this is a step one. Now the battle has begun for Aamir Khan. Now the process of marketing the film and getting it viewed by the right people is something they'll be traveling to US and promoting the film. We have to wait till January when the nominations will be announced. But considering Aamir Khan's association with the Academy, and Academy is reaching out to Indian filmmakers, like we have seen in the past few months, where new members were invited to join Academy, and a lot of Indian filmmakers are part of that list. So we are really hoping that Lapata Ladies will win the hearts of Academy members when it will be viewed by the committee members of Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts and Sciences.
Right, Vishal, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the United States on his 3-day visit. It is a jam-packed schedule for the Prime Minister. Late last night, our time, is when the Prime Minister addressed a mega gathering of the Indian community. This was as expected. Whenever the Prime Minister travels abroad, he does address the Indian diaspora there, and which is exactly what he did yesterday as well, amid chants of Modi Modi that echoed, and thousands had thronged that venue to listen to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister highlighted India's growth story of how India is now on the global map and a force to reckon with. Post which he also met with CEOs of leading tech companies. Artificial intelligence has been on the Prime Minister's mind, and that's something that he has spoken of as well, taking from the Quad Summit that took place on Saturday. The Prime Minister is going to be addressing a special UN summit later this evening.
एक और AI है जो भारत को ड्राइव कर रही है, और वो कौन सा और है? वो है A for aspirational, I for India. एस्पिरेशनल इंडिया। साथियों, हमने विमेन वेलफेयर के साथ ही विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट पर फोकस किया है। एक तरफ दुनिया के कई देशों के बीच संघर्ष है, तनाव है, तो दूसरी तरफ कई देशों में डेमोक्रेसी का जश्न चल रहा है। आज जब भारत ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म पर कुछ कहता है तो दुनिया सुनती है।
Aman now joining us live, getting us more perspective. He's been reporting from the United States, Washington, Delaware first, and then, of course, in New York, where he continues to be with us from. Aman, we are expecting the Prime Minister in just a short while from now address the special UN summit, the summit of the future. Any details or a sneak peek of what the Prime Minister is likely to address?
Well, yes, good evening, Poonam, and it's a good morning here in New York. Behind me, you can see the UN headquarters building. This is where the UNGA Summit of the Future will be, has already started yesterday. Today, it will be the second day of the UN Summit of the Future at the UN headquarters, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected here in about after a couple of hours, and he is coming here to give his speech at the UN Summit of the Future, a very important event because this is the event at UNGA where the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, will be present. The big question which everybody is talking about here is that will this summit bring a message of peace? Because even yesterday when the opening address was made at the UN Summit of the Future, the speech that was given by the President of the General Assembly, the conflict in the world has been placed on top of the agenda. This is the number one agenda. The conflict has been placed, and also other things which were the main agenda which has been fixed for the Pact of the Future, which will be adopted at this UN Summit of the Future, is promoting international peace and security. So if really the ongoing conflicts in the world, be it Russia, Ukraine or Israel, Palestine, is top on the agenda of the UN Summit of the Future as well. Last evening we saw the Prime Minister of India meet the President of Palestine as well, and that's also an important statement coming ahead of the UN Summit of the Future. The Prime Minister of India expressing his concern over the situation in Gaza and saying that India is committed to humanitarian assistance to Palestine at this point of time. Also India, the Prime Minister said that they stand that there should be an immediate ceasefire and cessation of hostilities in Palestine. This time Israel should stop the raids and the war in Palestine. So very important, I think, messaging coming from India ahead of the UN Summit of the Future, where the Prime Minister is going to speak today. The other important agenda and the UN Summit of Future will be climate change and the Sustainable Development Goals, Poonam.
Right, we'll keep our eyes out for when that event begins. But for the moment, Aman, thank you so much for getting us the latest from on ground there in New York. Yesterday, the Prime Minister did meet with CEOs of the top tech companies in the United States, among others. Listen into some of them, what they had to say about their meeting with the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister has been focused on transforming India with his Digital India vision. He pushed us to continue making in India, designing in India. We are proud to now make our Pixel phones manufactured in India. He is really thinking about how AI can transform India in a way that benefits the people of India. He challenged us to think about applications in healthcare, education, agriculture, and he's also thinking about the infrastructure of India, be it data centers, power, energy, and investing to make sure India can.
I've enjoyed so many meetings with Prime Minister. He's such an incredible student, and every time I see him, he wants to learn about technology, artificial intelligence, the potential and opportunity for India, the impact on India's society and industry. Artificial intelligence is also a new industry, a new manufacturing industry that's very important. And so I'm looking forward to partnering with India in a very deep way to make that possible. We have many partnerships with India. For one, we're helping India gain access to our most advanced technologies. We're partnering with internet companies like Yoda and end-to-end networks, and to create the latest generation AI supercomputers in India for all of the startups. India is the home of the third largest startup economy. And so this new generation of startups are all based on AI. And in order to do so, you have to have AI infrastructure. AI really democratized computing. This is India's moment. You have to seize the opportunity.
Brought to you. और मैं पक्का मानता हूं कि मेरा ये जो तीसरा कार्यकाल है उसमें हम थर्ड लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी का हमारा जो गोल है उसको हम अचीव कर लेंगे.
My colleague Siddhant is with us on the broadcast. Siddhant, this is day 2 of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. We are, of course, waiting for him to address the UNGA, which is called the Summit of the Future. First of all, what can be expected will be his line there as far as the Prime Minister is concerned? Is it going to be taking a cue from what was discussed at the Quad Summit of all the 4 world leaders?
Well, Greha, as far as Summit of the Future address of Prime Minister Modi is concerned, it's going to be very, very significant. In fact, we could see Prime Minister touching upon his visits to Russia and Ukraine. We could also expect Prime Minister Modi to give message of peace from that dais. And in fact, the sources have also confirmed to me that there is going to be something big on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Prime Minister would not only touch upon the conflict, but he could possibly give some kind of a solution also to the world, how peace can be restored in Europe. And the second focus of Prime Minister Modi is going to be the concerns of the countries from the global South Korea, because India just organized Global South Summit in the month of August. In that, Prime Minister heard the concerns, the problems of the countries from the global South, and India is projecting itself right now as a strong voice of global South. So we could expect Prime Minister Modi to perhaps tell the world what countries from global South are going through, how the wars have impacted these countries, and how important it is to restore peace so that the economy can boom. These countries should not be left out because right now, Griha, these countries are at a risk of being left out from the global growth momentum. So that would perhaps also be the Prime Minister's talking point in the address. So all eyes are going to be on that key address of Prime Minister Modi at Summit of the Future.
Right, and he's also just been part of that Tech CEOs roundtable. He has underlined about India's own growth story, India's technological prowess. He talks about how very soon India is going to be touching upon the 6G technology. About all of that, Siddhant, considering many of those CEOs were important faces, and that too Indo-American faces.
Well, absolutely. So it was a very important CEO roundtable which Prime Minister chaired. In fact, CEOs from 15 top IT and tech companies of United States participated in the roundtable. Prime Minister's message was, come and invest in India. Be a part of India's growth story. That was Prime Minister's message to all the CEOs. In fact, there were CEOs from the semiconductor companies. Google CEO Sundar Pichai was also there, and the other companies which are doing business in biotechnology, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, etc., etc. So it was a very important CEO roundtable which Prime Minister chaired in New York, and after which in fact held 3 bilateral meetings also. One with the Prime Minister of Palestine, which is very important, Griha.
Yes.
And in fact Prime Minister reiterated India's principal position on Israel-Palestine issue. Prime Minister also met KP Oli, the Prime Minister of Nepal, in New York. Remember, KP Oli has not visited India yet. So with that regard, this visit is also very significant.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Now, in a shocking crime reminiscent of the gruesome Shraddha Walkar case in Delhi back in the year 2022, a 29-year-old woman identified as Mahalakshmi was found brutally murdered in her house in Bengaluru. Her body was chopped into over 50 pieces. The body was found inside a running refrigerator, which was infested with maggots, indicating it had been stored there for an extended period. Chilling new details are emerging in this murder case. In a crucial development, the police have also found a blue suitcase near the refrigerator. This new evidence has now added a layer of complexity to the entire investigation, as authorities are now probing whether the assailant had intended to move the body or if the suitcase was used to transport the victim from another location. According to the latest updates, Bengaluru police have also formed 6 teams to apprehend the culprit responsible for this gruesome crime. The police sources have also revealed that the prime suspect zeroed in is hiding near the Odisha-West Bengal border. Sources further have claimed that the victim's body was not chopped at Mahalakshmi's flat, as no blood stains have been found, only inside the fridge they've been found. Meanwhile, the National Commission for Women has taken cognizance of this entire matter and has directed the state police to expedite the arrest of all involved and ensure a thorough investigation. So what has led to this rerun of the Shraddha Walkar case? That's a question we will be probing in just a bit, but Karnataka is becoming unsafe for women every passing day. Who thought that in an economic powerhouse, women would be subjected to heinous crimes such as this? Let me take you through a timeline of what has been happening this year alone. On 5th September of 2024, a 19-year-old was raped and murdered in Karnataka's Bidar district. 3 people have been arrested so far. The case remains unsolved. In another instance, a 27-year-old woman who was missing for nearly 20 days was killed and her body was dumped in a trench dug which was meant to install water pipes in Shivamogga. The woman was killed by her boyfriend for forcing to marry her. In July this year alone, Kanniyakumari, a 24-year-old from Bihar, was killed at her PG in Bengaluru's Koramangala. The CCTV footage which went viral shows the victim being stabbed by the accused multiple times before he slits her throat and flees the scene. In the IT city of Bengaluru, a 46-year-old man stabbed a 26-year-old woman to death. The mother of the victim, in an attempt to rescue her daughter, bludgeoned him to death. In April this year, Neha Hiramat, a 23-year-old student, was stabbed to death on the university campus by her former classmate Fayaz Khandunayak in Karnataka's Hubballi. Also, Karnataka State Police have reported highlights that in the first half of 2024 alone, Karnataka has witnessed an alarming rise in crimes against women, with a total of 6,551 cases reported. Rape and gang rape equals to 196. As far as molestation cases are concerned, 2,333 of them. Kidnapping, 41 cases, eve-teasing, 36 cases alone. And so the question today we are asking, is Karnataka failing its daughters? With the latest murder being a chilling reminder of the Shraddha Walkar case. This is the question we'll be posing to our guests.